Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol. Be the reason someone smiles. give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel, give a smile. Give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel, be the reason someone smile. Give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel, give a smile. Give a Schmeichel, give a Schmeichel, be the reason someone smile. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Leo, Besimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Leo, Besimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Leo, Besimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, Besimcha. Siva, Gedola, Leo, 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 Besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva Gedola, Leo Besimcha. Siva.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla raba emunatecha.
Thanksgiving from W K R P. What a sight, ladies and gentlemen, what a sight. The copter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's a dark object, perhaps a skydiver plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet into the air. Second to the third. There's no parachutes yet. Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but... Oh, my God, they're talking! Oh, Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes! One just went through the windshield of a parked car! Johnny, this is terrible. The cars running around, pushing each other? Oh, my goodness! Oh, the humanity! Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement. I don't know how much longer the crowd is running for their lives. I think I'm going to step inside. I can't stay out here and watch this any longer. No, I can't go in there. Children are searching for their mothers, and not since the Hindenburg tragedy has there been anything like this. I don't know how much longer I can hold my position here, Johnny. The crowd...
Les, are you there? Les isn't there. Thanks for that on-the-spot report, Les. For those of you who just tuned in, the Pinedale Shopping Mall has just been bombed with live turkey. Film at 11.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Thanksgiving Sameach. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Elli. It is Thursday, the 23rd day of November, the 10th day of Kislev. Thanksgiving in the United States of America. The Torah portion is Vayetzei, HaYom Yom Chamishi L'Shabbos, 5th day, counting up towards Shabbos. We're learning the 5th Aliyah, and Chanukah is only 14 days away. I know. I know I say that every morning, but it's true. I'm just so freaked out by that we are so close to Hanukkah. But that's good. I like Hanukkah. Hanukkah is great. All right. As you all know, here in KOSHER, we do our Thursday night Thanksgiving on Friday night because we just couldn't see making two big meals, one right after the other, one for Shabbos and one for Thanksgiving and one for Shabbos. It's kind of ridiculous. So since I'm about 16 years old, my mother decided that we would just make a big Friday night meal, and there we are. Shabbos Hodu, the Shabbos of Thanksgiving, is there, and what can I tell you? It's all good. All right. Men and boys, let's take our two front tzitzis and make a bracha on the tzitzis.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
All right, everyone together, al divrei Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
Hareini Makabel.
Hareini mikabel alay mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah Tziva.
Ay Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov.
All right, now it's time to give tzedakah.
I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
We'd also like to wish Bruce Valanche a happy birthday today, in case I forget later. All right. Fantastic. And that takes us to the saying of the Shema. Are you ready? All right, how cute is that, right? How absolutely cute is that? All right, I have breakfast. Are you ready? Coffee and yogurt. And I have a pomegranate yogurt today. I thought that would be exciting. Are you ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyah bidvarai.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way.
All right, fantastic. Today in Jewish history. All right, hold on one second. All right. Today, the 10th day of Kislev. I know. Lots to do. Today is the liberation of the second Rebbe, Rabbi Sholem Dovber, Rabbi Dovber of Lubavitch in 1826. He was arrested on charges that his teachings threatened the imperial authority of the Tsar, but was ultimately exonerated. The date of his release, the 10th day of Kislev, is celebrated amongst Chabad Hasidim as a Chag HaGeula, a festival of liberation. Tachnun, confessional prayers, are omitted from the day's prayer, and Farbrengens are held, Hasidic gatherings where we get together and talk Divrei Torah. And the teachings of the Rebbe are studied on this day. If you'd like to know more about what his teachings are, you can go to Chabad.org and look them up, because it's all there. All his books and everything are available at Chabad.org. Somebody asked me if turkey is kosher, and so we'll play this again. We played it yesterday, but we'll play it again today.
Are turkeys kosher? Well, it's not so simple. While most Jews will tell you turkeys are kosher, there are some Jewish people that wouldn't eat turkey. Well, let me give you the history of birds and kosher. You see, the Torah outlines 24 birds that are considered to be not kosher. The problem is we don't necessarily understand exactly which species of birds the Torah is referring to. It's a different time, it's a different language. So as a result, most Jewish people have the practice to only consume birds that are historically, halachically known to be kosher. For example, the chicken, the duck, the quail, and the like. The problem is the turkey was only discovered in the 16th century, and we have no history of it being kosher. So how can most Jews say that turkey's kosher? And the answer is, the rabbis explain that a kosher bird is known to only be able to mate with another species of kosher bird, and it can never mate with one of the non-kosher bird species. So the fact that we know that a turkey could mate with other birds that are already known to be kosher, most rabbis say the turkey is kosher even though it's only recently discovered. Other rabbis, however, are more strict, and because it's a newly discovered bird, they will not consume turkey, for example, the descendants of the Shalah. I hope you learned something new and enjoy your kosher turkey, and don't forget, make sure it has a kosher symbol so you know it was slaughtered in the proper kosher way.
Okay. And then the Jewish perspective on Thanksgiving.
What did Judaism and Thanksgiving have in common? Let's unstuff it. Get it? Unstuff it. Like stuffing? No? Okay, fine. From Aish, this is Jew Know It. I'm Sarah, and today we're talking all things Thanksgiving. What's Jewish about Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving may not be an official holiday on the Jewish cal, but its ideas are as Jewish as ever. First, the very name Jew comes from the name Judah, which is related to the Hebrew word for giving thanks, Todah. So our very name as Jews means to give thanks. Second, the word Thanksgiving has two pretty big Jewish principles packed right into it like a turkey sandwich. Thanks is the response to receiving, a sign of gratitude, duh. And giving is the opposite of taking. It's the idea of philanthropy, to be generous and open-handed. Jewish people thank and give because, in the words of Winston Churchill, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And what's more Jewish than that? Speaking of, just want to take a second to say we'd be super thankful if you shared this episode with one of your friends. Thank you. How to be thankful like a Jew. In the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it's easy to find yourself chasing after the next big thing, thinking it will finally bring you happiness. If I can just find that right partner, or if I can just find the right job, or just buy that fancy new car, you get it. But this attitude makes happiness impossible. Good thing Judaism offers a different perspective by teaching that wealth isn't measured by material things or pursuing more. Instead, it's about being content with what you have and not taking things for granted. The Talmud asks, who is considered rich? The answer, one who is happy with their lot. This means that if you're happy with what you have, you'll feel like a rich man. If you can't appreciate what you already have, then you'll never feel satisfied no matter how much you get. In Jewish tradition, this mindset is embedded into daily life. For example, when you wake up, you express gratitude for the gift of life itself. I mean, seriously, you're alive. And then throughout the day, you're encouraged to say blessings to remind you to appreciate the large and small things. So while you should be doing this all year round, what better time of year to give it some extra love than on Thanksgiving? Give thanks for the love and opportunities you have rather than the ones you don't. And don't forget the giving part too. By embracing both, you create a cycle of gratitude and generosity, making the world a brighter place for all. And what's more Jewish than that? I'm Sarah, and from Aish, this has been Jew Know It, a series where we tackle questions big and small about Judaism, even the ones you're too afraid to ask. Hit that like and subscribe button to follow along and drop a comment with what topics you want us to cover next. See you next time.
All right. And Rabbi Zusha Zilberstein with a little bit about the Mittler Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe.
About the passing of the Mittler Rebbe. Today, the 10th day of Kislev, obviously. Let's give some tzedakah, and then I'll explain the pasuk that I just said, the verse that I just recited, as a prayer and as a song. Pada v'shalom nafshi, which means David HaMelech says, God redeemed my soul in peace. Ki berabim hoyu imodi, because the community was with me. The reason I said this verse today, first of all, because we need the Pada v'shalom. We need for all our brethren, the hostages, to be released fully, completely, all of them, without exception. But in addition to it, today is the 10th day of Kislev. Yesterday I spoke about the passing of the Mittler Rebbe. Today, the 10th day of Kislev, obviously before his passing, is the day of his liberation from prison. You probably know that most of the Chabad Rebbes, they were all prisoners. The Alter Rebbe, which we're going to talk about next week, and the Mittler Rebbe, which today he was released from prison in the year 1826. The story is as follows. One of the Chassidim, of the great followers of the Mittler Rebbe, was a great Chassid by the name Reb Pinchas Reitzes, an Eliastos Chassid. When he passed away, he only had a nephew as an heir. He had no children. And this particular nephew is one who opposed the Chassidic ways, Chassidic teachings. He was amongst the detractors of Chassidim. But when he inherited the possessions of the Reb Pinchas Reitzes, he also saw a letter that the Mittler Rebbe wrote to his uncle, asking him to serve on a special committee to distribute funds for charity. And the sum which is mentioned in this letter was 4,000 rubles, which is an important sum, but no fortune. The nephew then showed this letter to a cousin of the Mittler Rebbe, who unfortunately was up to no good. And he decided here he has an opportunity to blackmail the Mittler Rebbe, and he went and telling him that he's demanding from the Mittler Rebbe an important sum of money, otherwise he is going to report him to the government and cause a lot of problems. The Mittler Rebbe said, I didn't do anything inappropriate, I have nothing to reproach myself, do what you want, you're not getting a penny. So this fellow went and took that letter, and he altered it, where it was written 4,000 ruble, he added a 1 and a 0 beforehand to make it look like 104,000 ruble, which was a huge fortune at that time. With this, the Rebbe was accused of trying to rebel against the government. Also, they said that his synagogue, the shul where the Mittel Rebbe was learning, it was built in the image of the Beis HaMikdash. In other words, that he wants to rebel against the government and impose himself as the new king, the new leader. Ridiculous statements, but it doesn't take much to accuse a Jew, and it's quickly accepted. On Motzei Shabbos, Saturday night, on the 28th day of the month of Tishrei, the year 1826, suddenly investigators and police showed up at the Rebbe's house, looking for incriminating evidence. Everybody was obviously extremely concerned, except for the Mittel Rebbe himself. He was writing his Chassidic discourse. He even said people should come to Yechidus. He's ready to welcome and accept people. But at the end of that night, he was arrested and he was imprisoned in the city of Vitebsk under very tight security. But they gave him certain privileges. The doctor testified in court that the Mittel Rebbe's life will be endangered if he will not be able to teach Chassidic discourses to his Chassidim, in case he will not be able to write Chassidic discourses, and in case he will not be able to have a minyan for his services. And they allowed, actually, for Shachas, Mincha, Ma'ariv, I think 20 people they should be able to come in the prison, in the cell, and for the Mittel Rebbe to be able to have his minyan, have his spiritual needs, because the Mittel Rebbe was known that his life is one which is completely permeated with godliness, with Chassidus teaching, and that's what he lives off. Eventually, when he came to court, the Mittel Rebbe was dressed in his Shabbos finery, so much so that the court was so impressed by this appearance that he actually asked they should bring a chair for the Mittel Rebbe. During the proceedings, this infamous Lippmann, who orchestrated all these accusations, turned to the Mittel Rebbe and he said to him, "Rebbe, so and so." The Mittel Rebbe then made a remark. He calls me a revolutionary, he accuses me of a charlatan, yet he calls me Rebbe. Anyway, the Mittel Rebbe was completely exonerated, and he was released from prison on the 10th day of Kislev, when he said the words of Tehillim, Pada b'shalom nafshi, my soul has been.
Are turkeys kosher? Well, it's not so simple. While most Jews will tell you turkeys are kosher, there are...
All right, about that. And that takes us to HaYom Yom for today. Oh, no. I had one more piece I wanted to play for you. One more piece. Tomorrow is traditionally known as Black Friday because of the sales and the shopping that goes on. Is Black Friday kosher?
What does the Torah say about Black Friday? It's a good question, and I actually don't know the answer. But I do want to share with you is there's this great WhatsApp status and website that I follow called Kislev Deals, and they do the research and find really amazing deals all the time, especially coming this time of the year with all the sales. So if you really want a great way to shop for gifts and for people and for yourself, check out my friends at Kislev Deals. By the way, in Hebrew, Kesef means money. Money, Kislev Deals. All right. I'd love to hear if you get something good. Let me know.
All right. Now we can move on to HaYom Yom for today. The 10th day of Kislev.
היום הזה הוא זמן שמחתנו, שמע את התפילה.
Some people can't stand their job, which is a shame. Other people enjoy doing what they do, which is wonderful. But for the Mittel Rebbe, the second Rebbe of Chabad, it wasn't just that he enjoyed doing what he did. his work, his holy work, was critical. He needed to be doing it in order to stay healthy. Today, the 10th of Kislev is the day that in the year 5587 or 1826, the Mittler Rebbe was released from his confinement, from his imprisonment in the city of Vitebsk. But during during the time that he was under arrest or in confinement, he took ill. So the authorities had him seen by doctors. And the doctor said, you know what, there isn't really any, symptom that we can explain or cause for this illness. So what should we do, asked the authorities, so that his health is restored? To which the doctors replied, you should allow him to teach his Hasidim, which is exactly what happened. The Mittler Rebbe delivered a Hasidic mimer to his Hasidim while in this state of imprisonment, and as a result, he felt better. So that's a whole different type of level, in not just enjoying what you do, but for the Mittler Rebbe, doing what he does, teaching Chassidus, delivering a Hasidic mimer that is critical for his health, for him to continue to be a healthy, functioning individual, healthy, functioning tzaddik. Now, just the HaYom Yom today gives a little bit more of a background to the details of how this arrest, imprisonment, and liberation played out. It says that on Sukkot, on Chol HaMoed Sukkot, the Mittler Rebbe and his family got word that people had informed on him to the government, to the authorities. On the first day of Parshas Noach, the 28th day of Tishrei, I think we're talking about the year 1826, he was escorted by officials out of the town of Lubavitch, where he lived. In the afternoon, he arrived in Dobromysl, and there, in Dobromysl, while being on his way to prison, he delivered the Hasidic mimer, Mayim Rabim. On Monday, he proceeded to Liozne, again with the authorities, on his way to prison. There he delivered another mimer, Hasidic discourse, which begins with the words Rishpei Eish. And then on Tuesday, he reached Vitebsk, which is where he was in confinement until the Sunday of Parshas Vayishlach, on the 10th of Kislev, which is the day that he was released. But even while under imprisonment, the Mittler Rebbe continued to function and do the things that a Rebbe does, because for him it was as necessary and as critical as life itself.
Seid Medina zu gebuit auf der Ruf, die was werden angerufen dem Yazde Hamedina. Und da weiß Hamedina, haben gleich kommendig in der Medina Machris geworden und gemacht, a Yontev als eine Sina Stede, bei HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Lebeire Oelam und Manhige, für was sie Matzel geworden und sie gebracht in Amekeim, Botuach, wo sie können leben und Verfolgungen und Non-Redifis und Non-Geseres und viele Sachen wie bei sie kommt es, unheimlich von der Muna in dem Ebersten, der Eberste ist Beire Elam und man hiege bepasst in sehr Zman und in sehr Ingen Proti und in sehr Hatzolle Protis, wie hat die Kacha mit das Gewehe gewesen als Achok, als mir die Schone beschone, als es kommen unter dem Tag auf der wie der Mond friert, darf noch einmal der Monnen und aufgeben mag ihr Teder sein und aufgeben mag Teder, mit Kerev Leib, Omeg, zu dem Ebersten, für was es bewiesen, Chasde Begolui. Wie hat die Kacha, dass sie geworden eingestellt, als viele die Anosche Mischunim, wo sie wissen, an den Herzen leben sie, aber mit Time im Schenim und Mischunim, Bringen sie sich, als sie haben nicht keine Amuna Rachman Islam, oder sie haben eine Amuna in den Ewigsten, als gefindet sich gezwungen, Rakia, Shevi, Bechulu. Afal Pi, was weiß, ab ich als Ritamon, Azar, Behemes. Es misspallelt zu dem Superbeing, zu dem Ewigsten, als soll Maris helfen, Allahs Kame wie Kame, als sich misstattet in der alle Unioni, was sie seine verbunden mit Nessinas Teder, in Jeseid mit Dino Zu, durch die erste Nittiden, was seine Herz angekommen.
And there you have what the Rebbe says about Thanksgiving. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, he's a smart guy, that Rebbe. And now, a word from our sponsors.
And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidol.com.
PestProRidol.com, trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidol.com.
Tarzane Group, micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids, beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign at gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Torah, 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 Siva Lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Siva Lanu Moshe.
All right, patreon.com/theactorsrabbi or breakfastwithelli.live/tipjar. We are still waiting for Breakfast with Elli to be fixed. So I apologize if you've been trying to get there. We are still having all kinds of problems with it. If you know someone who's a master web designer, we could definitely use some help with it. We're running into some brick walls. So if you have any clues onto how to help us, we are open to hear it. All right. It is Thursday, and therefore on Thursday, you all know we do Rabbi Sachs Covenant and Conversation, and here it is, part 1.
What kind of man was Jacob? This is the question that cries out to us in episode after episode of his life. The first time we hear a description of him, he's called an Ish Tam, a simple, quiet, plain, straightforward man. But that's exactly what he seems not to be. We see him taking Esau's birthright in exchange for a bowl of soup. We see him taking Esau's blessing in borrowed clothes, taking advantage of their father's blindness. These are troubling episodes. We can read them midrashically. The midrash makes Jacob all good and Esau all bad. It rereads the biblical text to make it consistent with the highest standards of the moral life, and there's much to be said for this approach. Alternatively, we could say that in these cases, the end justifies the means. In the case of the birthright, Jacob might have been testing Esau to see if he really cared about it. Since he gave it away so readily, Jacob might have been right in concluding that it should go to somebody who valued it. In the case of the blessing, Jacob was obeying his mother, who'd received a divine oracle saying that the older shall serve the younger. Yet the text remains disturbing. Isaac says to Esau, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau says, "Isn't he rightly named Yaakov, supplanter? He supplanted me these 2 times. He took my birthright and now he's taken my blessing." You don't hear similar accusations against any other biblical hero. Nor does the story end there. In this week's parasha, a similar deceit is practiced on him. After his wedding night, he discovers that he's married Leah, not, as he thought, his beloved Rachel. He complains to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Wasn't it for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me?" Laban replies, "Lo ye'aseken bimkomenu, it is not done in our place to give the younger before the firstborn." It's hard not to see this as a precise measure-for-measure retribution. The younger Jacob pretended to be the older Esau. Now the older Leah has been disguised as the younger Rachel. A fundamental principle of biblical morality is at work here. Midah keneged midah, measure for measure. As you do, so shall you be done to. Yet the web of deception continues. After Rachel has given birth to Joseph, Jacob wants to return home. He's been with Laban long enough. Laban urges him to stay and tells him to name his price. Jacob embarks on an extraordinary course of action. He tells Laban he wants no wages at all. He says, "Let Laban remove every spotted or streaked lamb from the flock and every streaked or spotted goat. Jacob will then keep as his hire any newborn spotted or streaked animals that are born to this unspotted, unstreaked flock." It's an offer that speaks simultaneously to Laban's greed and his ignorance. He seems to be getting Jacob's labor almost for nothing. After all, the chance of unspotted animals giving birth to spotted offspring seems very remote. Jacob knows better. In charge of the flocks, he goes through an elaborate procedure involving peeled branches of poplar, almond, and plane trees, which he places with their drinking water. The result is, we read, that they do in fact produce streaked and spotted offspring. How exactly this happened has intrigued the commentators. Most of them assume that it was some miracle, God's way of assuring Jacob's welfare. But scientists argue that Jacob must have had a basic knowledge of genetics, because 2 unspotted sheep can produce spotted offspring because they have recessive genes. Jacob had doubtless noticed this after many years of tending Laban's flocks. Others have suggested that prenatal nutrition can have an epigenetic effect. That is, it can cause a certain gene to be expressed, which might not have happened otherwise. Had the peeled branches of poplar, almond, and plane trees been added to the water the sheep drank, some organism under the bark might have affected the agouti gene that determines the color of fur in sheep and mice. Anyway, however it happened, the result was dramatic. Jacob became rich. In this way, says the Bible, the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks and maidservants and manservants and camels and donkeys. Inevitably, Laban and his sons felt cheated. Jacob sensed their displeasure, and having taken counsel with his wives, and being advised by God himself that he should leave, departs while Laban is away sheep shearing. Laban eventually discovers that Jacob has fled and pursues him for 7 days, catching up with him in the mountains of Gilead. The text at this point is fraught with accusation and counter-accusation. Laban and Jacob both feel that they have been cheated. They both believe that the flocks and herds are rightfully theirs. They both regard themselves as the victims of the other's deceitfulness. The end result is that Jacob finds himself forced to run away from Laban, as he was earlier forced to run away from Esau, in both cases in fear of his life. So the question returns, what kind of man was Jacob? He seems anything but an ish tam, a straightforward man. And surely this is not the way for a religious role model to behave.
And we will stop there for today. And we will continue, willing, tomorrow. All right? All right. And now, our Parsha. All right, where is it? I've lost my Parsha. Hold on. I got it. I just got to switch gears over here. All right. In the fifth Aliyah, Yaakov's daughter Dinah ventures out of the city to Shechem. In Shechem, which is also the name of the crown prince of the city, she is abducted and violated by Shechem, who kept her hostage. Hamor, the governor of the city, approaches Yaakov and informs him that his son Shechem was infatuated with Dinah and desires her hand in marriage. Yaakov's sons slyly agree to the proposition, provided that all the men of the city would circumcise themselves. With the urging of Hamor and Shechem, the Shechemites agreed to this proposal. On the third day, following their mass circumcision, Dinah's two brothers, Shimon and Levi, entered the vulnerable city, killed all its male inhabitants, and rescued Dinah from Shechem's home. Yaakov was displeased by this act, fearing reprisal from the neighboring Canaanites. Nonetheless, Yaakov traveled on, and the fear of Hashem was on the surrounding cities, and they did not pursue Yaakov and his family. Yaakov arrives in Canaan, in Beth Kel, and Hashem appears to him, blesses him, and that's when he changes his name to Yisrael, Israel. Here is Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtson. All right, fantastic. Gosh, I love this stuff. I know you do too. Parsha points. Ready?
Parsha points Vayetzei for Thursday. How do you know when it's time to go? When Lavan no longer repulses you. Yaakov knows that his living with Lavan is only to prepare him to transform his brother Esav. He finally has his family intact. Yosef's birth has solidified that. When Lavan no longer looks like a criminal, it's time to go. Otherwise, we risk being Lavanized. Can't have that.
Can't have that. Can't be Lavanized. Is that a term? Is that something we have to start thinking about? All right. Let's do Rabbi Martyr for the day.
Boker Tov, good morning. We continue with a 3-minute daily dose of Torah, wrapping up our week here in Parshas Vayetzei and looking still at that line that Vayalan Sham Kiva Hashemesh. He lay down there because the sun had set. Here we have a very unusual midrash, and it reads as follows: Pinchas b'shem Rabbi Chanin the Tziporin Amar Shama Kolan Shel Malachei Hasharet. He said that Jacob, as he was traveling and then coming to find a place to spend the night, he heard the voices of the ministering angels. Omrim, they were saying, Ba Hashemesh, Ba Hashemesh. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Thank you, George Harrison, for that one. Asa Hashimsha, Asa Shimsha. Okay, that's the Aramaic. B'sha'ah shemar Yosef, v'hinei Hashemesh v'reach. And so, pause for a second, sorry. Ba Hashemesh is not referencing, in this rendering, is not referencing the actual orb of the sun in the sky, but the sun is none other than Yaakov. They refer to him as the sun. Jacob is the sun with all the power, which is a fascinating way for Jacob and for the Jewish people to imagine ourselves. We are the sun in the sky, and the angels know to refer to him that way, as if it's well known that he is the Shemesh. And so the Gemara says later on, when Yosef has a dream, and he says, and behold, right, the sun and the moon and the stars, right, were bowing down to me. Amar Yaakov, Migilalo Shmi Shemesh. Who told my son that my name, that I've been referred to as the sun? So what does that mean? When later on in that storyline, when Yaakov is told this by Yosef says, he says, "Vayisapel Aviv," right, and his father, "Vayigarbo Aviv," his father is very angry and yells at him. "Vayomer ma chalom hazeh shechalamta." What is this dream that you've dreamt? That am I and your mother going to come bow down to you? Right, all right. His brothers were jealous. Ve'aviv shamar et hadavar, and his father guarded the matter. As the son, you think about the ways in which we can do so each and every day. Have a great day.
Beautiful stuff. All right. And that takes us to Tehillim.
Al Yedei Amidas Tehillim, Al Yedei Amidas Tehillim, Al Yedei Amidas Tehillim, Tisoyre Chavatzeles HaShoroin.
All right, we are doing chapters 23 and chapter 122 as per our regular.
Adonai ro'i lo echsar. Binos teshe yarbitzeni al memnuchos yinahaleni nafshi shovev yancheni v'magle tzedek leman shemo גם כי לך בגץ על מובס, לא ירא. כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי לוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
שמע לישראל ושמחתי וימנים לי ויסעלינו יני אלי איים דייסו יהודה אלינו בשערייך ירושלים ירושלים הבנויה כאיש אפור עלי יחדיו ששמו שבטים שבטי העדות לישראל להוידייס לשם עלינו Shama yashavu chizayis v'mishvat Kislev leveis David Shalu shalayim Yerushalayim Yishvayu oyhavayich Ahai Yishalayim Michayleich Shava V'ayim Yisayich Ahai
All right, moving on quickly. Tanya for today.
Tanya thoughts for the 9th of Kislev. Want to master a difficult concept? Force yourself to teach it to someone else. The less familiar the student is with the material, the better the teacher will have to be at mastering the information. When mitzvahs engage the physical, Tanya thoughts for the 10th of Kislev. If I put on a policeman's uniform, it doesn't make me a policeman. If I put on tefillin, it does make me holy. One is just an expression of my accomplishments, like a diploma indicates that I've earned my degree. The other, the tefillin, is Hashem invested in the physical. When I wear the tefillin, that godliness penetrates my identity and changes it. Tanya thoughts for the 10th of Kislev. If I put on
Let's talk Tanya for the 10th of Kislev. In the last few days of Tanya, we've been talking about the value of doing mitzvahs, and also we've spoken about the importance of studying Torah. But why? Because when we're studying Torah about doing a mitzvah, when we study about doing a mitzvah, then it is considered as if we did the mitzvah. In today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is going to shift a little, and we're going to talk about what is the value of studying Torah simply for the sake of studying Torah, not because when you're learning about doing a mitzvah, it's as if you've done the mitzvah. What is the value of Torah itself? So we know that Torah is the wisdom of God. It is the chachma of God. Now, that sounds pretty amazing. And when we're learning Torah, we're interacting with God's wisdom. But the problem is that we also know that kulam bechachma asisa, everything was created by God's wisdom. That means God's wisdom is within everything. Within the table, within the chair, within the hairbrush, within the bookcase. Wherever you're looking, you're seeing God's wisdom. So what is the advantage of Torah over everything else? And the answer is yes, God's wisdom is within everything, but God's wisdom is hidden within everything. When you look at everything, what do you see? You don't see the wisdom. You see instead the result of the wisdom, which is the created being. Within Torah, God's wisdom is actually revealed. So within yourself, you, your soul, your body, your soul, even the greatest angels, we are created beings. The godliness is not revealed within us, and therefore we want to study Torah and connect to Hashem in a place where the wisdom is revealed. And Dr. Rebbe gives an interesting terminology to explain this. He says that yes, when we're learning Torah, God's wisdom also, it seems to be concealed. It's concealed in physical halachas. I'm learning the laws of a mitzvah which has to be done with physical things. I'm learning about physical parameters. But dear, the Alter Rebbe says, God's wisdom goes through it in a way of maiver. It passes through it. What does that mean? So in Chassidus, the example is given for this, that when you have an idea, so the idea is in your mind, you think about it, you process that, you get it, and then what happens? The feeling, that idea goes into your heart, and that creates a feeling. Based on whatever your understanding or your perspective is, you have a feeling now. So the idea entered the heart, and now what comes out of the heart? Not the idea, but a feeling. Now this feeling is based on the idea, but the idea is hidden right now, and now what you have is the feeling. Now contrast that with when you sit down with a pen and paper and you write down an idea. So here, the idea of your head is not going to your heart, the idea of your head is going into your hands, and you're writing the idea, but what comes out is actually the idea. You're writing down the idea right now exists on the piece of paper. The idea went through your hand, but the key words over here is it went through your hand. It didn't now enter the level of your hand as it did when it entered your heart. It went through your hand. The same thing is also when it comes to God's wisdom. There's God's wisdom as it comes down into different creations, but it enters it, and it doesn't pass through it. It enters that level. So when God's chachma, God's wisdom enters the physical world to create the physical world, now what we have is physical objects. And the godliness which is within it is hidden. Within Torah, there we have God's wisdom, but God's wisdom passes through the physical. And even when we're studying about something physical in the Torah, ultimately, what we have over here is God's wisdom. And therefore, when we're studying Torah, we have this incredible connection with God's wisdom. And tomorrow we are going to continue this conversation, and we're going to try to find out why is it that the wisdom in the Torah passes through, whereas the wisdom that's involved in creation doesn't pass through, it actually enters, and what's called hislapshus, it encloses itself within the physical objects. What is the reason for the difference? We'll find out, God willing, in tomorrow's Tanya. Let's talk Tanya for the 9th of Kislev. Over the last days, we talked about doing
Here we go. On Hanukkah, it is customary to play with a little top, a toy, called a dreidel. It's a four-sided spinning top bearing the Hebrew letters Nun, Gimel, Hey, and Shin. Nes Gadol Haya Sham. A great miracle happened there. The game is usually played for a pot of coins, nuts, or other stuff, and is won or lost based on which letter the dreidel lands on when it's spun. In today's consumer-driven society, people tend to place great importance on giving Hanukkah gifts. However, our tradition is actually to give Hanukkah gelt, gifts of money, to children. In addition to rewarding positive behavior and devotion to Torah study, the cash gifts give the children the opportunity to give tzedakah, charity. This has also spawned the phenomenal foil-covered chocolate gelt. Some point out that the word Hanukkah is related to the word chinuch, education. The Greeks issued decrees against Jewish education and forbade the circumcision, the mitzvah that begins a Jewish boy's education. On Hanukkah, we celebrate our freedom to provide our children with a proper Jewish education and, of course, a bris. Indeed, Lubavitcher Rebbe often referred to the unique connection between Hanukkah and education. Hanukkah is a special time to inspire our children and our adults to connect to their heritage, as can be seen by the many Hanukkah customs that specifically involve children, like the giving of the Hanukkah gelt. So Hanukkah is an opportune time to focus and reflect on our children's education, our Jewish education, and continued spiritual growth. And tomorrow we will talk about lighting the menorah. All right? Let me just fix something here really quick.
Let's talk Tanya for the 9th of Kislev. Over the last days,
all fixed. All right. And that takes us to Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam. We're up to class.
No, it's not impossible that Rebbe did say, just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never
Baruch Hashem, it is day number 215 of our daily study of Rambam Sefer HaMitzvahs. And in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we're continuing our study of Hilchos Mitamei Mishka v'Maishav, which we've explained is a certain category of impurity. We are in chapters 7, 8, and 9 in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah. Today we have one mitzvah, just one mitzvah, and I've explained to you for the past couple of days that there are 4 people who belong to this category of this level of impurity, and each one of these 4 people in this category is its own mitzvah. All right, so here we go. Positive Commandment 106 is the ritual impurity of a zava. I can't translate zava. I've never seen a decent translation of zava. Zava is a feminine word. It's talking about a woman. There is a masculine counterpart called a zav, but I don't want to talk about that today because I don't want to spoil tomorrow's mitzvah, but it might just be tomorrow's mitzvah. Okay. But today, let's talk about a zava. A zava is a woman who has experienced a particular type of abnormal discharge. Remember yesterday, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, we had the mitzvah of a woman who becomes impure because of menstruation. That is a normal biological function. Okay. A zava is abnormal. It is a pathology, which is perhaps comparable to, remember when we learned Hilchos Tumas Tzaras, we learned about a mitzvah. So it's that type of thing. It's not healthy. But at any rate, when a woman has this discharge, she becomes impure, and she's impure to the level of this category of impurity that we've been discussing, which I defined in much greater detail 2 days ago when we started this section of halachas. Okay, so that's our mitzvah today. We'll see you tomorrow for more, God willing.
Besides for a nida and a yoledes, there's another woman who can become impure from a bodily discharge. Positive mitzvah number 106 states that a zava, a woman who experiences an irregular discharge of blood, also becomes ritually impure, and like a nida, she can transmit her impurity to others as well. If she only experiences 1 or 2 of these sightings, her tumah extends for only 1 day, after which she goes to mikvah and becomes pure. If she experiences 3 irregular sightings, she becomes what's called a zava gedola, a great zava, who must then count 7 clean days to establish her purity, after which she goes to mikvah and must also bring a sacrifice, specially known as the karban zava, after which she becomes completely pure.
All right. Fantastic. Let me get to the next part, which is Mashiach. So just hold on 1 second. All right. Matters of Mashiach. Today marks the anniversary of the Mittler Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe's liberation from Tsarist prison, where he was sent after being libeled by the opponents of Chassidus. Like his father, the Mittler Rebbe was released from prison while reciting the verse, Pada b'shalom nafshi, my soul was redeemed in peace. And when Mashiach comes, there'll be an essential peace that transcends the possibility of war. And at that time, Hashem will be revealed to the entire world. And as a result, everyone and everything will be united with no possibility of conflict. Now, we can begin this experience by revealing the essence of our soul, our yechida, our oneness with Hashem, where we commit to Hashem on this level. Our entire being becomes godly. There's no room for internal conflict. The ultimate state of this perfection will occur when Mashiach comes. Think about that.
Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is well. We have some breaking news just in from Israel, Lebanon, that Elli Cohen, Israel's ambassador to the UN, announced and warned both Hezbollah and the UN that if Hezbollah does not back up from the border and go back to the agreed upon, the UN agreed upon location in 2006, that Israel is gonna inflict heavy military consequences upon them. And they're going to pay, they're going to pay a heavy price, and this risks starting a regional war. Basically, Israel warned them if they don't move back, they will be attacked, and this could head to all-out war with Israel. So, what is happening right now is that, with God's help, the Jewish people are destroying Hamas, and they're removing them from the face of the earth, God willing. God willing, we won't stop anywhere short of that Hamas will be something that existed with a D at the end and no longer exists in the world. Hezbollah understands this, that we are demolishing them, and they're trying to distract us from this without having a full-out war. So what is happening now is Hezbollah is launching sporadic missile launches against Israel. It was what you would call border clashes, or tit for tats, along those lines of a war of attrition, where it's not all-out war, but every day Hezbollah will launch missiles at northern Israel, different locations, and then Israel will hit them back very hard. And then that's it. Maybe twice, a few times on different locations, that's it. And then later in the day, a few hours later, same thing will happen. And there's this measured response from both sides, where there's an acknowledgement of tit for tats, of attacking the other side without a full-out war, and which is it's come to be comfortable for both sides, so to speak. And I will acknowledge that Hezbollah has paid a heavy price for this, and they've lost many soldiers and a lot of equipment for this, and morale, but in my honest opinion, it's not enough. They have to understand the might of the God of Israel. We have to make it clear that we will remove them from the face of the earth, just like Hamas. And as the Rebbe says, we have to show Lebanon, we have to show Hezbollah that if they even think about starting a war with us, we're ready to take out everything all the way to Beirut. That in 5 minutes, we can take out everything they have. And not just them, but their proxy leaders in Iran too. That's what has to be clear to them, the Rebbe says. And through that, they will understand they won't even start with us in the first place. The problem that the world makes, and I have to be, with the help of God, so many Gentiles, non-Jewish people have been supporting the Jewish people. Billions. Unfortunately, there's also a lot who aren't supporting us, and their lack of logic is that they think that by us giving in to the Arabs, that's what will cause peace. It's the very opposite. It's the exact opposite. By us fighting and defending ourselves, it doesn't cause war and threaten peace. The exact opposite. By us showing that we're ready to demolish them, that if they start with us, we'll remove them from the earth, that is what will cause peace. That's the language that our enemy understands. They understand might. So the Rebbe says the best defense is offense. That if you show Hezbollah and you show Iran that if they even lift a finger at us, we'll take in 5 minutes, they will become a pile of dust. They won't start with us in the first place. They'll understand we mean business, not by being nice and giving up land. This whole war, you have to understand, never should have happened. It is illegal under Torah law to give up an inch of the land of Israel. The Jewish people have no authority to give away this land to other people, to Arabs, to anyone, for peace agreements, for anything. We have no authority. The Rebbe clearly states this, that even thinking about giving up some of the land of Israel causes disaster in the world. And in this war against Hamas never would have happened if we wouldn't have given up the land of Gaza to these evil individuals. This only happened because we gave up this land. We gave it to them, and that was a massive mistake. It never should have happened, but we can only make sure, the best we can do is make sure this doesn't even happen again, even in thought. And we have to make it clear to the people around the world.
Matters of Mashiach. All right, our PSAs. meals every single day. In Rockland County, it's tomcheishabbos.org. In Lakewood, it's tomche.org. achiezer.org is there to help you out with whatever else you might need, whether it be food or clothing or mental health or physical health, whatever you need, they are there to help you out. And Hatzalah EMS with their new Global Assist app available in the iOS and Android store. Be prepared. Miss Oskim in times of bereavement, because you are never prepared. Miss Oskim is there to help you out with everything that you need from A to Z. So let's not worry about it, okay? They can help you. Just One Shabbos, a great organization there to help bring our children back to the beauty of Tikkun Shabbat. If you are victim of or you see a hate crime in progress, you need to call 911. And you need to do it even if on Shabbos or on Yom Tov. All right?
Wear a mask.
When you're
Wear
out,
a mask. Is this really much to ask? Tie some fabric round your face. Oh, it's the simplest of tasks. At the gym, at the store. Don't treat it like such a chore.
Get your vaccinations. That's also very, very important. All right? The brand new vaccine is out. And you can get it, and then you won't have to get one for a year, and you'll be protected, all right? You don't need to attain. You only need to discover which way is forward and begin at. Think about that. If you are the one where the exit sign is, do it. All right. You want to talk about it? Come to social media. Any of the active rabbis at Clubhouse, Facebook, them, X.com, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube, or at the active.com. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam boirei nefashos rabois v'chesroinan al kol ma sheborosa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai haolamim. All right. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors. Doctors Bracha Biederman and Avi G. If you'd like to sponsor, go to or go to this barcode right over here. This barcode right over here. All right, and scan that with your telephone, or take a picture of the screen and then click on it, and it will take you to our GoFundMe page where you can help us get our new computer, because that's really, really important. All right? A love song to Israel. Yep. This is from our master pianist, Azaria Klotzko, from the Klotzko family. It's a beautiful piece that he wrote for Israel. I know, right? A love song to Israel. All right. It is Thursday. We are getting ready for Shabbos. It is Turkey Day for many people. We're just winging it today. Winging it. Get it? We make our big Thanksgiving meal on Friday night, as we always have since I'm about 16 years old. Yeah, I can send you the Twitter link. I think I can. Let's find that. It's a good question. I don't know where that is actually. All right, 1 second. I do have it somewhere. X.com, right? Let's see if I can find my Twitter link. I know there's a way to send a link, right? Home. That's not going to help you. How do I find me on this? That's a good question. I don't know. Oh, here, this should do it. Yeah, it's at TKOB. At TKOB. There you go. All right. We've got that going now. All right. Go out and make it a great and glorious day. Do something nice, something good for someone today. The words of Rabbi Isaac Hamler: have affection for a fellow. Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow. Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow close, and Hashem will draw you close to him. Make it a great and glorious day. Haidul Hashem ki tov ki le'olam chazdai. We thank God every single day, not just on Thanksgiving, but we say Haidul Hashem, thanksgiving to Hashem, every single day. Have a great day. Be the reason someone smiles, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, God willing.